Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're talking about Microsoft Copilot AI that's inside of Business Central. This is specifically looking at what you get for free with your Business Central subscription and Microsoft Copilot functions. So our agenda, I'm going to give a quick overview of Microsoft Copilot for those that just want to get back up to speed. Then Brittany on our team is going to talk about three scenarios that come with Business Central, and if you're using those functions, then how AI can help you expand those functions. And if you're not yet using those functions, obviously encourage you to consider those if they're a fit for your team. And then we'll do a wrap-up, provide a little extra additional commentary. And then if there's time permitting, we'll have Brittany assist with any Q&A at the end. I think today's webinar is probably going to be about 30 minutes. We do want to be conscious of everyone's time. So with that said, welcome to Microsoft Copilot. What is Copilot? So Copilot, you'll hear LLM. It's large language model. Essentially a very smart application that proactively guesses what the next word is that you're going to ask or say, or the answers. Microsoft owns OpenAI, or at least 49% of OpenAI. OpenAI is the basis for ChatGPT, and therefore Copilot is essentially ChatGPT, but for your own uses inside your Microsoft tenant. Working within the Microsoft stack, Copilot is fantastic. Just your tenant, just your data. Your administrators that can set up and configure the security around it. Can only look at your SharePoint sites, only your emails, only your teams. You can have different hierarchies within your organization of who gets to see what. It's really neat. One thing to keep in mind is there are multiple different copilots. So today we're going to be talking about the free functions that are inside of the Business Central Copilot. There's a paid version that's Microsoft 365 Copilot, and that works great for asking general questions and looking into your data within your organization. There's also free versions of Copilot that comes with Microsoft. Some are embedded into Office, some are embedded into just general Windows. One of the things to keep in mind with Copilot is because there are so many different versions, they try to keep it into a silo of just the contextual purpose of that Copilot. So when you're using the Copilot inside of Business Central, you can't just ask it general questions of how is the weather today or write me an essay. That is not that Copilot. We're using the Business Central Copilot, which is specific tasks within Business Central. There are also Copilots for different finance functions, even the Copilot within Excel. If you're using the Microsoft 365 Copilot, when you're in Excel, you can only ask it and should only ask it questions about your Excel data. You shouldn't be asking it about general topics that are going out to the outside web or even just general topics within your organization. So don't be asking the wrong Copilot the wrong questions. Make sure you're asking the right Copilot the right questions at the right time. One of the cool things that we have with the new Microsoft Teams is when there's links, you can actually click on the links that are in today's presentation, and it can take you to those destinations. So we do have a link here on a Purely CRM website. Endeavour, we have three brands, Endeavour, Purely CRM, and the GP Support North. And within our Purely CRM team, we have a fair bit of Copilot content on that website. Continuing on, the next part I want to talk about is just around security. There's an application called Microsoft Graph, and really what that does is it pulls in a lot of the security aspects for when you have Microsoft Copilot. It's using Graph to be which functions within the Microsoft stack are we exposing to the Copilots and to the models that are allowing you to ask questions and automate tasks. And that's where it's also being controlled within Business Central. So those with Business Central licenses have certain credentials where they can view certain data within Business Central, and Graph is part of that security layer of who gets to see what, where, why, when, how. As you can see, there's a number of icons here. It can be looking at calendar and calendar items, different groups, different files, meetings, messages, past discussions, team discussions. And it has the intelligence that if I send you an email, you've received that email and therefore have implied authority to see content that is within that email because we're both on it. So Copilot, and this is more onto the Microsoft 365 side, but Copilot's not going to be spying. You can't say, okay, what did James's email say around his compensation? Unless you're on that email, you don't get to access some of that information through Copilot. So take a look at the information that's available online or talk to Endeavour. We do have advisory services to talk about Copilot, provide some training, can also create proof of concepts. And these are around the paid versions and the broader using AI in general. Today, our focus is on the free stuff that is within Business Central. You can do this on your own or with our assistance, and it's literally just turn it on and start using it. Most clients have this come on automatically because of the magic of the cloud. Everything's pushed out. So I'm going to quickly go through the three things. Brittany, I'll let you introduce yourself, so if you can share your screen momentarily. We'll talk about AI for sales order line item predictions, AI for forecasting inventory replenishment, or BOM purchasing. Basically the same thing. It just depends on where your inventory is being managed within your manufacturing or distribution type processes. And the last one's looking at the Copilot AI that's for bank reconciliation. And I like the AI for bank reconciliation is a good bridge between not having any bank reconciliation and some of the third-party tools that we have that we've worked with clients on that do an absolutely amazing automation of bank reconciliation. The Copilot AIs are bridging that gap in between the two. So with that said, Brittany, let me switch it over to yourself.
My name is Brittany, and I'm here from Endeavour Support Desk, or Support North. But today we're going to talk about Copilot inside of Business Central. If you're not seeing Copilot through your current Business Central, or maybe you're playing inside of Business Central, or you just want to see what it's like, there's actually a section you have to set up for Copilot. By default, it does start deactive, and you have to activate it. Now, they are adding to it all the times, but the ones we did see today were the chat, the analyze list, the sales lines, the create product information, the bank account reconciliation. You'll see more and more of these being added all the time. There is also additional information inside of here for setup of to how much of your data are you allowing Copilot to see, and are you using Azure Open AI service? So what about security of Copilot? Obviously, we have users that have different access inside of Business Central, and Copilot does recognize that. Copilot inherits the security from the user. So that user who decides to interact with Copilot is not going to see any more information than they were already seeing inside of Business Central. Now, Copilot is currently only for Business Central Online. It is included in all of your Business Central licenses. There is no minimum required to have Copilot inside of Business Central. It is currently being included in the Business Central license. We don't know if that's going to continue, but currently that is what it is. So there's no extra cost to starting to use Copilot. Copilot's like the friend who's always super smart. So let's go hop into some of my favorite features we find inside of Copilot today. So now that we're in Business Central, let's check out some of the smart suggestions Copilot can give us. And I'm actually going to start inside of our sales suggestions. We've all been there where we're trying to put in some sales orders or invoices, and sometimes it feels like we're going in slow motion because we have to look up all of these things. What was their last order? What did they do here? Well, Copilot's here to give us a hand. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new sales order here, and I'm just going to throw my customer in. And we have options and more than a couple prompts actually, but I'm going to show you some of my favorites today. So you'll notice we actually have the Copilot icon here, and I'm going to use the suggest sales line items. The first thing we can do here is we can actually give it a very simple command here. We can say copy last invoice. And once we hit generate, it's going to go ahead and look at the last invoice posted and suggest the items that were here. So the last two I have are here, and I can either take them all or not, and we go ahead and insert them. So that's one way. We can have that nice and easy copy features. Now, in Business Central, the copy function already exists. However, Copilot makes it nice and easy for us to move around and to not have to go through so much navigation to get to these simple things. Let's actually go into another command. So I'm going to start another sales order here. And a lot of times we're going back and forth in emails, and maybe we have an email. We just want to pick up and copy and paste the text. We don't want to go look it up. Business Central's Copilot allows you to be a little loosey-goosey with how you put things in. So I'm going to copy and paste some text from an email. And as you can see here, I've just put in some plain Jane text, which actually doesn't have our item numbers this time. It has part of the description. And I'm going to go ahead and hit generate and see what it comes up with here. So as you can see, it picked up my 3 items from my loosey-goosey text for an email, and it even took the quantities as well, so the 5, the 2, and the 1. So I can go ahead and hit insert. Now, we can be even looser with our text. So let's say you're on a quick call with a customer, you are just quickly typing down what it is they want to have, so I could say, you know what, I quickly type down a few items. They want a red chair, 6 tables, 2 whiteboards that are large. Let's see what Copilot comes up for us here. So with some really loosey-goosey text, we have that in here as well. Now you have to be really careful with what your matching is. If you choose balance, this means it's going to take a little bit from your description and from the item number. If you take precise and you move this to a precise matching, this now means you are going to be very specific. You kind of lose some of your loosey-goosey inside of there. And you can change your view to this as well, but I'm going to go ahead and hit insert. Now, as you can tell, I'm in the same order, and I can use Copilot multiple times with different commands inside of there. So it's just here to make your life easier and be the last person there. You can get further into your commands in there as well. So we can go even further down in depth into our Copilot commands. You'll notice that I have another Copilot icon inside of Business Central, and this is our Analysis Assist. We can use Analysis Assist for multiple purposes. We can use it for a whole bunch of things. The first thing we can use it for is a how-to menu, how to get to things, how to do a transaction, just how do I navigate inside of Business Central. So we can give it a simple command like, how do I create a sales order? And it'll go ahead and give us the instructions on how to do that. So if you're from a different generation, if you remember Mr. Paperclip or Clippy, we can use Copilot that way as well. We can go there and say, how do we do this? Or if you're looking for a particular feature, it'll go ahead and bring back how to get to there. Now, as much as I miss Mr. Clippy, we can go ahead and use our Analysis Assistant or Analysis Assist to be more like our helpful friend. We can give it a more in-depth prompt like show me customers grouped by their country and zip code to help us out. Now, of course, if you are familiar inside of Business Central and you know how to do your filters inside of there, you can create all this information as well. So it does create this information, and we can go ahead and open up our analysis tab, and it shows me all of my customers by zip code and what their subtotals are. If you're comfortable, as you can see, it did use it with filters. So if you're comfortable doing that, you can still do that. With Copilot, you want to give it some helpful hints, and some of those prompts are like show me, group by. Those will really help you out when you're using Copilot, not just inside of Business Central, if you're using Copilot inside of your other products as well. But let's get away from our customers for a second, from the customers. But what if we're looking for specific transactions, or we're trying to find it, or we're on a little bit of a hunt for something? We can give it a prompt like this one. We go, show me customer ledger entries for a customer from last year. Now, you can be more specific. You could say from March of 2024 or whatever the case may be. It's here to help you find information. Now, it doesn't only have to be ledger entries either. We could have looked up sales invoices, purchase orders. It will go ahead and search that information inside. So as you can see, it's pulling up the first ones for a preview, and I can go ahead and view more details. And here you can see, here's all of my customers' ledger entries from 2025. If I want, I can always use Copilot and drill into it from there as well. That's another way we can do it. We don't also have to do ledger entries. We could go for an entirely different purpose as well. We could, another helpful prompt is show low stock items by category. So this can be a helpful one to get ourselves into understanding our inventory a little bit more. Now it's going to open another analysis tab for me as well. We'll just give that a second to open up. Now, one thing when you're using Copilot, if you didn't quite get it right the first time, Copilot's not like your judgy friend. It will allow you to rephrase it or add on to it. I could say, that's great. You showed me my low stock items by category, and I can add an additional filter and go filter by quantity. Oh, helps when I can spell. And Copilot's pretty forgiving with your spelling, by the way, as well. Less than 5. It will add some additional on there as well. So I have the analysis tab open. It is smart enough to know that I am asking the question from the prompt before. So as you can see, it is smart enough to figure out that I said, hey, from the previous one, show it here. If you ever lost track of where your thoughts were, you can scroll back up inside of Copilot. It does remember what you were doing. In case you forgot what you're doing or maybe got interrupted, you can always use your analysis tabs inside of there. Now, Business Central does have its own native bank reconciliation. Now, Copilot is just layering inside of us to give us an extra hand. You notice I do have the Copilot icon. Now, Copilot is not everywhere inside of Business Central yet. However, Copilot is rapidly growing all the time, and this is just the beginning of where Copilot is going to start helping us out. So let's go ahead and see how that can help us in here. So you'll notice I still have my Copilot icon, and we can use the reconcile function, which will allow us to take either a bank feed or file we've received from the bank, and it will attempt to match those transactions for us. Now, my little bit of my paranoid self, I never trust a full thing that has fully been reconciled by something. I always like to make sure we get to that 80% mark, that most of it has been done for us, and we just have a few transactions left. Speaking of those few transactions left, we have this post this difference to the GL. Copilot's here to help us figure out what is left in there and post it to our GL. So you'll notice I actually already ran a reconciliation. I had 0 of my lines were auto-matched, and 1 of my 3 lines were Copilot matched. And it's attempting to create that difference to post to the bank so that we don't have to, so we can finish our reconciliation. This is just here to help us out doing those bank recs, or maybe allow us to save some time so we can do bank recs more often to have that nice and neat.
Just in the interest of time, I want to keep moving on. So, a little bit more about Endeavour. We're now into 36 years strong. We're now up to about 920 clients across Canada and the U.S. So we're very excited, and thank you everyone for your support. 3 lines of business: advisory, implementation, and optimization support across the various Microsoft stacks, being Dynamics 365 CRM, Business Central, GP, Power Platform as part of a CRM team. And the AI is spanning all the teams. So we have AI within CRM, AI within Business Central, AI within some third-party applications, as well as within our development team, Power Platform, and using the AI and Copilot with Power BI. Core values are integrity, trust, and accountability. As always, we're here to help you, everyone on the line, as well as those watching our recording, get the most out of your Microsoft business applications. So that, I think, pulls everything together. Brittany, let's get into a little Q&A.
Yeah.
Put your screen back on. Thanks very much for that. That was very informative. I do have a question that sort of comes up from some of our past discussions. If you have additional ISVs and third-party applications that are embedded in Business Central, is Copilot pulling that information as well?
For some of the ISV, yes. Not all of the ISVs are within Copilot. Feel free to ask us which ones are and aren't. However, a lot of times the nice things with ISVs are usually using some of the core transactions that Business Central uses. So you still get to use a lot of that Copilot functionality of go find my document, can I use it? So yes, a lot of times Copilot is inside of theirs, but there are, of course, not all the ISVs are fully using Copilot right now. So feel free to ask us if you have a specific one in mind.
Okay. Another question, just when you're turning on, you were showing, the toggles for activate or deactivate. Can someone turn it on just for themselves, or does that turn them on for their entire tenant and all the other users within their Business Central system?
No, it turns it on for all users. It is a system-wide setup. And just to note, that setup is actually only done for system administrators. So only your system administrators can turn on Copilot for you and roll that out. You can't just have, someone who only has access to AP to go ahead and turn on Copilot. It is a system-wide setting.
Okay. But it is easy to sort of toggle that. And obviously our support desk can help you out if you do need additional questions or guidance on that.
Yes.
Any other questions that people want to type into the Q&A or chat? Sorry, Brittany, you had something else to say?
Just to let you know, Copilot, although I was demoing in a U.S. environment today, Copilot is worldwide. You can use it in Canadian installs or U.S. installs, depending where you're getting it from, but it is worldwide currently. I have Cronus US, but it is available worldwide.
Oh, you have lots of clients on both sides of the border, so both are
true.
correct. Any other? Oh, there's someone that typed into a Q&A. Thank you for finding that out. So the profiling of creating ongoing analytics and trends, that it requires you to have a database and something that is evolving, and we're working with that in one of our test environments. Sorry, let me take a step back. The question is, can I create long-term trends and ask Copilot about the trends? the information. What you need for trends is to be able to look at the multiple aspects. And Copilot right now is just designed for spot information on what you're doing time and time. Uh, as it evolves, I think it is going to get more into some of the trending. How to get around that now is to build the little data marts around. I have questions around the trend data here, or if you, Brittany probably exported into some trend information into Excel that you can ask it in Excel.
Yeah,
Anything to
you
add to
can.
that?
Yeah, you can also customize your own Copilot inside of Business Central as well. However, that's not, that is if you're using, it's not called the premium license anymore, Copilot, but if you're using that, you can develop and customize your own Copilot as well, where it will do way more in depth into specifically your trends, your data, all that stuff. Now, for
That's the
the,
paid version for the Microsoft 365, and they're using Copilot as the data source. It's not
yeah,
it's not the Copilot that's inside of Business Central.
correct.
Yeah, and that's using Copilot Studio, which used to be Virtual Agent Studio, which is part of Power Platform. So Copilot Studio now allows you to start correcting, curating the content and pointing where am I going to access different knowledge bases. So that knowledge base could be Business Central. It could be a SQL Server database or other stores of data. It could be your SharePoint servers. It could be emails. And you can start creating your own multiple different copilots for specific purposes, or loop it all together as to one generic, depending on how broadly across your organization you want that analytics be happening.
Yeah, and Scott's kind of also alluding into if you're going to use Copilot as an agent, if when you get into that point, you can go down to agents as well, where you have it monitoring parts of your email, and parts of those emails can then turn into orders and stuff like that as well. But to answer that, yes, you can customize it. You're just going to go even further down the bunny hole, so to say.
Okay. Another question, can Copilot be leveraged to manage collections?
Yes. Inside of Copilot, there's actually a part in there where they actually call it marketing, which is not a great term for it. You can tell it to pull your list, and then it can create some communications for you on there, like please pay me now or else, but maybe a little nicer.
But it's the generative text for something you can copy and paste and use to facilitate your collections. It's not going to automatically start firing off emails and collecting on your behalf. There are some other systems that have those triggers, or you're into more of a Power Automate of
Correct.
taking business logic of if then do this. So if someone's late by a certain point and there's no comments on their collections, then also send this automated email that goes out. We also have third-party applications that help with collections and have much of that process already baked into their systems and their automations without using an AI, and then be able to, basically meet your needs.
What I hear, Scott's very passionate about collections, and he's going to be doing our collections from now on. I'm going to let our accounting staff know.
Thanks for that, Brittany. I have written a few letters over the days. Any other questions, comments out there? We're now a half hour past, so it was sort of our original goal to make sure that we gave you back some time to your day. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate your time today and joining us. We'll work on creating a little recap of this today's webinar, and we'll be posting it online. And we'll send a follow-up to say thank you for attending, and you can share this with your team. Bye for now. Have a great day.